A warm welcome to News Now. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Barely 24 hours after the nationwide rally held by the Organized Labour Union, President Muhammadu Buhari has inaugurated an advisory technical committee on the proposed 30,000 naira new minimum wage. The committee, which will be headed by economist Bismarck Rouhani, was inaugurated by the President before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Adeshawa Dushoga has the rest of the story.
In the past 5 months, the Nigerian government has been having a running battle with labor unions over the implementation of a new minimum wage. The battle began in September when labor leaders held a nationwide protest, which culminated in a brief strike action over the failure of the government to implement a wage structure which was last reviewed in 2011. There were further protests and other strike actions in October and November before a 30,000 agreement was reached by the Tripartite Committee settled by the government on November 6, 2018. That agreement was submitted to President Muhammadu Buhari on November 7, but until January, the president had yet to do anything on the proposal. That is now changed as President Buhari has called this meeting to set up a committee to review the 30,000 agreement. The president begins by using the occasion to dispel suggestions that he is not committed to reviewing the minimum wage.
We are currently working on the final series of steps leading to the submission of a national minimum wage amendment bill to the National Assembly. I want to make it clear that there is no question about whether the national minimum wage will be reviewed afterwards. I am committed to a review of the minimum wage.
He, however, notes that there will be some challenges implementing the wage.
We anticipate that after the new minimum wage has been passed into law, we will be going into negotiations for salary review for all those who are already earning above the new minimum wage. It is therefore important that we are properly prepared to meet these demands. We must therefore look at ways of implementing these consequential wage adjustments in a manner that does not have serious adverse effects on our national development plans as laid out in the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. The Economic Recovery and Growth Plan sets appropriate targets for levels of capital expenditure, public debt, inflation, employment, etc. It is absolutely important that the implementation of a new minimum wage does not adversely affect these targets and thereby erode the envisaged gains for the workers.
Another challenge facing the implementation of a new minimum wage is the cooperation of the state governors. The governors say they cannot pay more than 22,500, and that has created some disagreement. Buhari insists they must be carried along to ensure a proper implementation of the new wage.
It is important to explain that even though the subject of a national minimum wage is in the exclusive legislative list, we have been meeting with the state governors because it is imperative that the federal government carries along the state governments in determining any upward review of the minimum wage for workers. This is essentially necessary considering the prevailing public sector revenue challenges, which have made it extremely difficult for some of the governments to pay workers as and when due.
The committee is expected to develop and advise government on how to successfully bring about a smooth implementation of impending wage increases. It will identify new revenue sources and also propose a work plan and modalities for the implementation of the salary increases. It has 1 month to submit its report. Adeshawa Udushoga, TV360, Nigeria.
Well, in Lagos, the spokesperson of the All Progressives Congress, Joe Igbokwe, has apologized for the violence which trailed the launch of the party's rally in the state. At least 2 people were reported dead and 1 other injured after violence broke out at the launch of the party's rally in Ikeja. Igbokwe held a press conference on Wednesday to apologize for the fracas and also restate the party's commitment to ensuring peace in Lagos.
APC is a decent party, manned by decent men and women. We're in Nigeria on a mission, we're in Lagos on a mission to build a vibrant nation and a vibrant state in Lagos. And politics is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a kind of carnival. With these beautiful women around me, you will know that politics is supposed to be sexy. If I'm using Achiwaju's word, it's supposed to be very sexy. But some funny characters tried yesterday to downplay our happiness. And that's why we want to apologize to you. We understand many of you were caught in the crossfire yesterday. And like somebody like Emmanuel Ladesu is not here. He had a wound, a bullet wound yesterday. But thank God, it's okay. We regret as a party what happened. We never envisaged that kind of thing was setting, because this takeoff was planned and we deliberately put it in the police domain. Here is the Commissioner of Police Office. Here is the police college. So you wouldn't expect that some people will master the impunity and the temerity to infiltrate that place and try to wreak havoc on a well-planned program.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State Police Command has arrested 2 suspects in connection with the violence that broke out at the APC rally. The police have also declared 1 leader of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Mustapha Adekunle, popularly known as Sego, wanted. The police say the NURTW leader attended the rally with a group of people who violently attacked other supporters of the party. The police also confirmed that another NURTW chieftain, MC Oluomo, was stabbed and rushed to the hospital, where he is currently receiving treatment. And still in Lagos State, despite the violence at the APC rally, some residents of the state say they are still in support of the party. The residents are part of at least 500 families who held a march to the state government house in Ikeja to rally support for the re-election campaign of the party's presidential candidate, incumbent Muhammadu Buhari. The families who marched under the Nigerian Families for Baba Buhari says the president has done well so far and deserves another term in office.
Considering the posterity and prospects we enjoy from taking the right decisions of supporting President Muhammadu Buhari to emerge winner in 2015, we should have stayed back in our respective places of employment, business and homes, but the good governance that is being delivered to us is something that must not be interrupted. There is the need for the good life we now have, courtesy President Buhari's government to continue. Therefore, we are gathered here because of our firm belief in the imperative of ensuring the continuity of all Progressive Congress, APC, and the Buhari-Osinbajo presidency for another 4-year term in office.
Well, another rally by the opposition People's Democratic Party held in Kogi State has attracted condemnation from the All Progressives Congress. The APC says the campaign of the PDP and its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar is a gathering with no achievement. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Lanre Isaonilu, who addressed journalists in Abuja on Tuesday, says the APC is puzzled by the manner the once active political party degenerated into the current pitiful state.
Like millions of Nigerians who are wondering how PDP got to this level of shamelessness, our party, the All Progressive Congress, APC, is equally bemused by the manner this once boisterous political party degenerated to this current pitiful state. It is shocking to see the few leaders of PDP who are still showing up in the public for campaign alongside the discredited Alhaji Atiku, standing before the paltry crowd in the Lokoja Stadium, blowing hot air, stomping the platform, and making empty promises. What exactly did PDP promise the people of Kogi State? Nothing. It is that bad.
And still on the elections, the suspended Deputy National Chairman of the opposition People's Democratic Party, Babayo Gamawa, has joined the Governing All Progressives Congress, APC. Gamawa was suspended by the PDP on Monday over allegations of neglect of duty and anti-party activities. He has now switched over to the APC, where he was personally received by President Muhammadu Buhari. And it is now less than 37 days to the beginning of the 2019 polls. Well, ahead of the election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has been meeting with stakeholders, including media officers and security analysts, to map out plans for the election. Onya Adekunle tells us more.
As the clock ticks down on the long wait for the start of Nigeria's 2019 election, the attention now slowly turns to the electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission. The body has been in the spotlight in the past weeks as opposition parties question the credibility of its officials. On its part, the body has been meeting with various stakeholders to gather support for the polls. This meeting with the Nigerian Union of Journalists is to solicit the support of the media ahead of the election. The INEC chairman also uses the opportunity to emphasize that the commission will not create additional polling units for 2019 elections.
The commission wishes to assure the media that there is no change in the number of polling units and voting points used for the 2015 general elections and the 2016 area council elections in the FCT. Any insinuation that new polling units, voting points, or voting point settlements are being created by the Commission is utterly baseless and should be disregarded. The register of voters has been finalized, including the detailed breakdown of the distribution of voters by states, local governments, wards, and polling units. No new units have been created, and none will be created before the 2019 general elections.
In response, the president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Chris Isiguzo, assured INEC that the media will never renege on its promise to collaborate with the commission.
We are very much available, very much disposed to work with you because we appreciate the kind of job you are doing. And as stakeholders in the Nigerian project, I can tell you that the media will not disappoint. We are very much willing and very much available to work closely with the Commission. It is incumbent on the media to mobilize the populace. We did that during the voter registration exercise very well, and that is perhaps why we have 84.something million voters today. And I can tell you that we are still very much ready to mobilize Nigerians for the main thing, the main election.
After that meeting, Mahmoud then holds talks with heads of security agencies. He wants the agencies to design a new security architecture for the polls.
Learning from the experience of some of the 195 off-season elections conducted since 2015, it is pertinent to draw our attention to the need for a different approach to the deployment of security agencies during elections. The Nigeria Police Force remains the lead agency for election security. Other security agencies will play a supportive role to the Nigeria Police. However, We need a new security architecture for 2019, consistent with the provision of Section 29, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended, which provides as follows, and I quote, "Notwithstanding the provisions of any other law, and for purposes of securing the vote, the Commission shall be responsible for requesting for the deployment of relevant security personnel necessary for elections or registration of voters, and shall assign them in a manner to be determined by the Commission in consultation with the relevant security agencies, provided that the Commission shall only request for the deployment of Nigerian armed forces for the purpose of securing the distribution and delivery of election materials and protection of election officials." Unquote.
After his appeal, the INEC chairman then receives the highest assurance of a representative of the National Security Advisor.
He said I should assure the committee of the preparedness of the Office of the National Security Advisor to support the INEC by providing the requisite leadership and coordination for the security agencies in ensuring a credible electoral process. And it's actually in furtherance to this that he organized recently the election security management workshop for security agencies, just to prepare them towards their functions during the electoral process.
The Commission is expected to hold further consultations with other stakeholders as the countdown to the polls continue. Unyi Adekunle, TV360, Nigeria.
And in other news, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogan, has sworn in Justice Uwani Musa Abba-Aji as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria after 14 years at the Court of Appeal. Justice Abba was sworn in at the Apex Court in Abuja. The CJN has encouraged the new Supreme Court Justice to work hard for the service of the country.
There is a lot of work waiting to be done here, especially with pre-election and post-election matters that will arise from the 2019 general elections. Following the retirement of Honorable Mr. Justice Clara Bata Ogumbi, who is incidentally present here today, in February 2018, the number of justices of the court became 16, inclusive of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Within the year, there will be at least one more retirement, which will further put pressure on the bench, considering the workload I have already outlined. Therefore, your elevation to the bench of Nigeria's Apex Court is timely and positive. Your work ethic and integrity are what got you here, and I urge you to do even more to leave your footprints on the sands of time in this court.
Well, you're still watching news now on TV360 Nigeria. We will be right back after this. Don't go away.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
Wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
And focusing on business, the World Bank has predicted that countries in sub-Saharan Africa will make little progress in poverty reduction in 2019. In its report, the Bretton Woods institution says the trade war between the United States and China is causing collateral damage on the global economy. It says regional growth is expected to accelerate to 3.4% in 2019, predicated on diminished policy uncertainty and improved investment in large economies, together with continued robust growth in non-resource intensive countries, while growth in Nigeria is expected to rise to 2.2% in 2019, assuming that oil production will recover and a slow improvement in private demand will constrain growth in the non-oil industrial sector. And despite the gloomy predictions, the Naira is trading in a steady fashion amid optimism over US-China trade talks and rebounding oil prices. Although a majority of emerging market currencies were impacted by a stabilizing dollar, the Naira stood out from the pack by holding gains of around 358 on the parallel market. Well, with the dollar seen weakening in the medium term on expectations over the Fed taking a pause on rate hikes and oil rising from trade hopes, the Naira remains buoyed. Well, as the first trading month of 2019 gets underway, investors will be keeping a close eye on the inflation figures scheduled for release on January 14. Meanwhile, oil prices rose by around 1% on Wednesday, extending gains from the previous sessions on hopes that Washington and Beijing may soon resolve trade disputes. U.S. crude were at $50.38 a barrel, while Brent crude were up by 61 cents at $59.33 a barrel. Both crude price benchmarks had already gained more than 2% in the previous session. State newspaper China Daily says Beijing is keen to put an end to its trade dispute with the U.S., but that it will not make any unreasonable concessions and that any agreement must involve compromise on both sides. If no deal is reached by March 2nd, Trump has said he will proceed with raising tariffs to 25% from 10% on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports at a time when China's economy is slowing significantly. And to the stock market, the bearish sentiment at the Nigeria Stock Exchange continued for the sixth day with a 2.33% plunge in key market indicators. The all-share index continued its fall, stopping at 29,336 basis points, while the market capitalization fell to a 1.5-year low of 10.939 trillion naira. But despite this heavy drop, the consumer goods and the oil and gas sector still recorded gains, with their equities dominating the gainers list, with Unilever taking the lead, recovering from yesterday's loss. Julius Berger, on the other hand, is recording its seventh day of gains, closing the day at 25.85 naira. Zenith Bank also topped the gainers chart amid a 2.33% drop in the banking sector. Well, with the industrial goods sector dropping by a massive point, it is not surprising that Dangote is leading the pack of losers today, with a share price dropping by 16 naira. It is closely followed by Guarantee Trust Bank, whose share price has been fluctuating, despite analysts recommending the equity to investors for trading. Well, in summary, the market breadth closed negative, with 19 equities recording losses and 14 others posting gains. Meanwhile, more than 200 million shares worth over 2.2 billion naira were traded in 3,806 deals. And on the global level, the bulls maintained dominance at the London, America and Asia Stock Exchange, with each one of the trio posting gains amid rising oil prices, continued trade talk between US and China, and the continued government shutdown in US as Trump insists on the funding of the US-Mexico border wall. And still to come, the Democratic Republic of Congo is still under spotlight as violence brews amid delayed election results. More on this after this break. Don't go away.
Corruption not in my country.
How work?
Oh, correct, Oga.
What is it that you are doing?
Oga, they command the part now. Make we go sell for.
Oga, na correct kuza be this o. Oga Titus and him boys them. They do am. They will command the original parts, sell them, make plenty kusa. No wonder our customers bring the generator back to our workshop because they bad. And now because of stuff. Now because they overuse the generator. Plus say NEPA no they give them electricity.
Before I open my eye, Makachuku look at my talk in the heaven. Replace this original generator parts back inside this generator of my customer. In short, before una do am, frog jump. One. Frog jump. 1, 2, 1. Stealing of generator parts or changing of original parts to a fake one. That is the corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Riot police have been deployed at the Electoral Commission headquarters in Kinshasa amid fears of a disputed result in Congo's presidential election marred by accusations of vote fraud. The tally could be announced later in the day after the commission met all night and into the morning. Police also took up positions along the city's main boulevard as Congolese fretted about possible violence amid suspicions that President Joseph Kabila's government was negotiating a power-sharing deal with one opposition candidate. Super Eagles head coach Gernot Rohr has backed Victor Moses to make a sensational return to Nigeria's senior national football team. Moses retired from the Super Eagles team after taking part at the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia and missed out of the remaining qualifiers for the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. But since his retirement, the winger has struggled to get game time at his club Chelsea. Rohr stated that he will welcome Moses with open arms if he reverses his decision. And Mohamed Salah has won the 2018 African Player of the Year prize ahead of Arsenal rival Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Liverpool teammate Sadio Mane. It is the Egypt international's second African Player of the Year title. The award caps yet another remarkable year for Salah, who boasts of 13 goals in the English Premier League to help the Reds lead the log. In the female category, Tembi Kigatlana has been named the winner of the 2018 African Women Player of the Year. Kigatlana clinched the prize after edging out Nigerian duo of Asisat Oshola and Francisca Odega. Lastly, Bayern Munich have confirmed that France's World Cup winning defender Benjamin Pavard will join them in July. The Bundesliga club announced the news on Wednesday after activating the Stuttgart central half's £35 million release clause. Pavard emerged as one of the stars of France's World Cup triumph in Russia, playing in 6 matches over the course of the tournament at right back, including the full 90 minutes in the 4-2 win over Croatia in the final. And that's where we draw the curtains, but remember you can follow us across social media for more news updates and interesting programs. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.